So you can call me the latest mama in the UK because yeah, I'm the latest mama. I recently brought my daughters here into the United Kingdom, and so I'm your latest mama. So you can add mama to my name. So either Mama Becca or Auntie Becca, but don't just call me Becca. I am a mama. I am your latest mama in the building. Hi guys, welcome and welcome back again to another juicy video. How are you guys doing? I know you are doing absolutely amazing. So today's video, I'm going to be explaining how to get a school placement for your child. Any child who is below the age of 16 or 18 years who wants to get admission into the United Kingdom. If it is the first time I've come across my channel and my space, my name is Becca, but you can call me Mama Becca or Auntie Becca. As I said, I'm originally from Ghana in West Africa. I practice and live and work in London. On this channel, basically, I talk about nursing, I do lifestyle videos, a little bit of me, like every good vibe and every positive vibe in between. In today's video, as I said earlier, I'm going to be talking about how to get a school placement for your school-going child if you are here with them in the United Kingdom. And I'm doing this video on request because a couple of people asked me how I was able to get my kids enrolled in school as ASAP as I did. Within 72 hours, I got my kids in school. And the reason is because when they came, the original plan was that they were going to go back home to continue their education, but they were staying longer than they were supposed to. And I felt like, why not just enroll them in school? Let them try and see if they're going to like the school here. Because obviously when they came, my little one didn't really like, she wasn't coping, but along the line, she began to like things. And then I felt like just putting them in school. And lo and behold, they had school within 72 hours from the time I applied. So today I'm going to be explaining the UK education system and how to get your child into school, okay? So one thing is that in the UK, a child is enrolled in school based on their age, all right? So we have the preschool, we have the reception, we have the key stage 1, we have the key stage 2, we have the high school, and then after the child is 16 years, they'll be going into either college or uni. So the preschool starts from a child that was born anytime after 3 months until the time they turn about 3 to 4 years. They can be in preschool. At that time, it is usually play that they really go to play. And in the UK, those schools are not free. So before I go into it, in the UK, education is free up until university. However, the free education starts from 5 years going up until 16 years or until high school. But if you have a child who is below 5 years, but you still want the child to go to school, they can go to school and they are qualified for 15 hours of free education. That is if you are in England. I think in Scotland, you have 1 hour extra for a week. So if it's 15 hours for a week, it means that if you want the child to go to school from Monday to Friday, the child can only go to school 3 hours in a day. And that is the only free education that child can qualify for. Any hours outside of this 3 hours a day, you would have to pay for that, and that is not cheap. So when I did my little research, I have a colleague whose child currently is doing this preschool, and aside the hours that she's qualified for, she pays something between 600 to 700 pounds extra for the child to be in school for 3 days or 4 days in a week. Then one day the child doesn't go to school in that week. Once the child turns 5 years old or before their 5th birthday, they can go to what we call the reception. So the reception is just preparing them to be ready for school. School ideally starts from stage 1 or year 1, which is 5 years. Here, the child's age determines the class that they are going to be in. So let's say, for instance, if a child's date of birth is on the 5th of September. However, school reopened on the 4th September. That is where the calendar year is starting. Instead of a child to be in year 1, the child is going to go to reception because her birthday fell after the school calendar started. So basically here, the month that you give birth to a child really plays an impact in the child's life. And I didn't know this until my kids were due for school here in the United Kingdom. So let's say, for instance, my little one, her birthday is in the mid of September. She's 5 years, but her 5 years fell after mid-September, and the school calendar started on the 4th of September. So instead of her being in year 1, she is in reception because she is just a week or two late than the calendar started running. So basically, that's that about it. And let's say, for instance, my second one, she was born in December 25th, that's Christmas Day, and December is after September. So instead of her being in year three, she's in year two because the school calendar started rolling in September before she was born. The first one is the only one that had an advantage. So she was born in June, and then the calendar started operating in September. So instead of her being in year four, her age is 9 years. She's going to be 10 years in June. Instead of her being in year four, she's in year five because she celebrated her ninth birthday before the calendar started. Don't just get confused. Once you enroll them in the school themselves will tell you what stage the kids are going to be. Or when you apply to the council is going to tell you what stage the kids are going to be based on their birthday. So don't wrap it around your head. The council and the school will sort it out for you. They will calculate everything for you, and then you know which year group your kid is going to fall into. But basically, that is just a brief explanation based on my experience. This is just a brief explanation of how your kid or your child's date of birth can influence the level of year or the education that they are going to be receiving. So the reception is before 5 years. The key stage one is from reception to year two, and then key stage two is from year three to year six. And then after year six, which is after the 11th birthday of that child, the child should be in high school. So usually high school is from 11 years up onto 16, 17, or 18 years. It really depends on the age of the child at the time they were starting school. So here we basically have two categories of terms that the child can enter school. So we have the school term, which starts in September, and then we have the in-year term. The in-year term is any time after the school calendar has already started rolling. So let's say you brought a child into the UK after September. The school has already started rolling. You don't have to wait until the next September before the child can go to school. You can do what we call the in-year application, and your child should go to school. A child is not supposed to stay at home without having formal education unless you have written to the council or the borough in which you live to explain that the child is not going to be going to school. The child is going to be receiving education from home, and you are eligible to train your child at home. It is not compulsory for you to enroll your child in school. But once you explain how you are going to get this education or how you are going to teach your child at home and make it formally known to the council, you can keep your child at home and teach them whilst they're at home. Otherwise, you will have a letter from Home Office asking you why that child have not been enrolled in school after a period that they have been into the United Kingdom. So there are many kinds of schools that are in the United Kingdom. We have the community schools or the public schools, which are the very common ones. We have the religious schools, or it's like a query private and a query government kind of school. So if you want your child to go to a community school, you will definitely have to apply to the council or the borough where you live. So you can just go on Google and put in school application for, let's say you live in, Brentwood in London. You can just put in Brentwood, and then the borough will come up, and you can do the application for the child. Usually the application is online, so you fill the form, and the basic requirements or the basic thing that they ask you is the birth certificate of the child and a proof of your address. So you need to add the proof of your residential address that you are living in, which could be your light bill, your water bill, your council tax, or anything that shows your name and your address where you are residing, and then the birth certificate of that child. It's a simple application. Once you do the application, they're going to ask you for your catchment area. So know the area that you live in, the postcode. They will give you a list of schools that are within that catchment area. You will go through those list of schools and you choose 3 schools out of the lot. And you have to look at your proximity, especially if you are not driving. You have to look at how close the school is. You have to look at the Ofsted reports, which is one thing you should also look out for, because the Ofsted report is like a CQC inspection of a school. So officers go to the school to inspect the school to see how good the school is going to be rated. We have schools that have outstanding Ofsted reports. We have schools that have good Ofsted reports, and we have schools that have required improvement Ofsted reports. So you have to choose a good school for your child. Obviously, aim at outstanding or at least good. Don't drop down to required improvement unless that is the only school within your catchment area. then you wouldn't have a choice. If you want a school that is still outside your catchment area that you are happy to drive to, yes, you can still go outside your catchment area, but usually they give priority to you if you are selecting the school that is within your catchment area, and also look for a good Ofsted school. So after you have selected the 3 schools, your first choice, your second choice, and your third choice, you submit it to the council. The council is going to write to you to tell you which school your child was being placed in. In my case, I have 3 children and I wanted all the 3 of them to be in one school. So after I applied to the council initially, when they came in, that was after Christmas and after New Year, obviously, I applied to the council and they wrote back to me to tell me that they are going to get my first choice school for my first and last child, but my second child is not going to get that school. She will need to go to another school. But I insisted that I wanted one school for all of them, and I explained my reasons why, because I can't do school runs in 2 different schools. I wasn't happy to do that, and obviously they understood, because it's just stressful going back and forth in the morning. You know, school gate opens at a particular time, it closes at another time. I'll talk about that in a separate video, how to go about things whilst you are still working, you know, how to balance your life as a working mother and still, you know, having to keep control over running your children and going about them. So I told them straight away that I am not happy to get like different schools for them. So they wrote back to me again and gave me a list of schools that I could look into that could get placement for all 3 of them. And there were some of the schools they stated to me, or they wrote to me, were private schools, which was not fully private, because obviously if it's fully private I would have to pay for it. But the schools they sent me was partly government and partly private, so like a 50-50 kind of school. But it is not run by the borough, it's not run by the council. The council doesn't have any, you know, say as much as they should have in such schools, and those schools run a different calendar, which is very similar to what the community schools or the public school also run. So when they sent me the list, I chose one of the schools, which was like a partly private and a partly government, and then they told me if this is the school that I'm selecting, I will need to apply directly to the school. I don't need to apply through the council. So I went to the school's website, I downloaded the form, and then I filled the form that same day. I submitted the form in person to the school. I spoke to them and told them I have 3 children. I gave them their date of birth. They looked through the schools. You know, vacant or vacancies, and then they realized that I could get all 3 placements for all the 3 children. That same day, they gave me admission. The day after that, we went for induction meeting, and then the 3rd day, they started school. And I think I did a vlog when we were buying the school uniforms and everything. So for me, everything was kind of in a rush. But if you have just a child or 2 children, it's most likely you're going to get a school for both children or for one child in that school. You just need to write to the council, you fill the form, you select 3 schools based on your catchment area. The council is going to tell you which school your child is eligible for. And as I said earlier, you don't need to wait until September before you apply for a school for the child. However, if a child is in the UK already, and let's say the child is going to be going to, let's say the child is in primary and the child is going to be going to secondary school. If the child is in the UK already, September, 1 year before the child starts the secondary school, then you need to apply a year ahead. So it's the same process. You choose 3 schools within your catchment area, and then you can, you know, apply a year before. They'll write to you beforehand to tell you which school your child had, so that you can plan ahead and you know which school your child is going into. With this also being said, if you want to transfer your child's school, yes, you can still transfer your child's school. Probably maybe your child have gone to a school and they're not happy with the school, or there is something that you don't like about the school, or the school is a bit far from you. The child started and later you realize that it's not something that is going to work for you. You can do a school transfer. So that's the same thing. You still write to the council. You fill the form and you state the reasons why you want that transfer. The council is going to look into it and they're going to give you the new school that you want if there is a vacancy. Mind you, nobody is going to impose a school on your child that you don't want. It is never done. Nobody, because somebody, I'm explaining this because someone came into my DM and was asking if you are allowed to select the school or the council give you the school. They will not force any school on you. So with me like this, after I did the application and I told them I'm not happy with the schools that they were trying to like separate for the children, and I did my own application, they later called to find out if I have gotten vacancy in any school so that they see how possible they're going to help me. Thankfully, I had already gotten a school for them, and I just told them that I took a decision to let all of them be in one school. So I personally approached that half private, half government school, and then they were, admitted into the school. All three of them had a chance in that school. And also, I forgot to mention this, that there is free meals for your child, irrespective of the school they attend, whether it is the half private and half government, or it is the community school, or it is the council school, whatever. A child is entitled to free meal from reception to year 2. So your child can eat free in school, and they give them very good food, they give them snack, they give them fruits, vegetables, and then their main meals, all for free. They give them books and everything all for free. It's from year 2 upwards. So from year 3 going, then you will need to pay for your child meal. But even with that one, they will give you a link online, which is called a school pay. I don't know if that is what everybody uses, but in my area here, that's what they use. So it's a link online that you top up money. It's like you're topping up money in an account that the child will eat from school. And it's not expensive. It's less than £3 for the meal that the child is going to eat in school. So basically, yes, that is how to go about getting school placement for your child or for your children. After you've got the admission, the school is going to send you a list of the uniforms and where you're going to get them, like how the uniform should be worn. That's the school uniform policy. They'll send you the anti-bullying policy. We have the parent evening. They'll send you the school calendar so that you plan ahead, so that I can take you, that guides you to shape or to plan your life, when to take your leave, how to manage yourself basically, so that you don't, run behind anything. You can still be committed to your work and still be committed to looking after your children. So basically, that is how I did my kids in-year application, because they came into the UK after September, and I was still able to get a school. And I felt this is going to be of benefit to somebody. I wish you all the very best in your transitioning your kids, especially from abroad into the United Kingdom. It is a big sacrifice, but with determination, with planning, and with proper management, you can do it, and you can do it. So tell yourself it's something that you can do. Until we meet again in my next video, guys, it's bye. Bye-bye.